Depends if you can hear the intro music. Can anyone hear the intro music? I don't know. Okay, hello and welcome at Book Lovers Companion. My name is Edith, and right next to me is my lovely co-host, the Chattering Teacup.
Hello.
Yes, and we are here for a special event, a very special event. The book launch of A Fish Called Andromeda, and a very warm welcome to our guests, the author and the illustrator. Okay, let's see who they are. Let's reveal the true faces. They are not fish, or maybe they are fish. Let's wait and see if it's a fishy business or not at all. Hello, Cynthia, and hello, Yusuke.
Hello. Nice to see you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you. It's an honor to have you both on the show, and let's hope our viewers get a good view of us and get a good view of what we are doing. So let's see if they can get a good idea what we are doing. So let's start.
Sorry, I have to take off the mask now.
Yeah, we don't
it was
want
good for the introduction, right?
Yeah, we don't want you to get too hot underneath your mask. Hello to Cynthia Huijgens from the UK at the moment, and welcome to Yusuke again from Los Angeles.
Yes, thank you.
So
nice to see you.
It's great to see you both and to meet Yusuke. Of course, we know Cynthia already because she's been on our show a few times already.
Every experience has been really fantastic, so thank you for having me back.
Thank you for giving us the chance to do this. Oh, we have a comment from Claire O'Brien. Congratulations, Cynthia and Yusuke. Great masks.
Oh, thank you, Claire. I appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
And I see Nate is on as well, and he was one of my early readers, so I'm really grateful that he's joined us tonight because he and his children gave some fantastic feedback to the story in its early stages.
My first question would be to both of you, of course, how did your collaboration start? How, when? The why is obvious, of course, but when and how did you start your collaboration for this wonderful book?
I don't know. Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me or you?
Oh, maybe you can start.
Okay.
I mean, from my perspective, I got email suddenly from you, and that's all started for me. So that's from my perspective. So.
Well, Yusuke and I are both members of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and every year they do an annual summer conference in Los Angeles. And of course, during COVID, they didn't do it live. They chose to do it online. And as part of that conference, illustrators can participate in something called a portfolio review. And I think there were several hundred that year. This would have been the first COVID wave, which I think is 2020. Kind of lost track of time, but I went to the conference. I attended it virtually, and I started to view the portfolio gallery. And that's where I found Yusuke in there. And I guess the rest is kind of history. I reached out to him and we were able to agree to collaborate. So it worked out really well. And at the time he was in Japan because of COVID.
I wonder how this collaboration works. Do you write the story, like the whole story, and then the illustrator illustrates, or do you exchange ideas, or how does it work?
Well, I had written the story, and then I interviewed, I think, 7 or 8 illustrators that I selected from the SCBWI portfolio gallery. And I made a selection based on not just the work of the artist, but also who I thought I could work with. And Yusuke and I just kind of hit it off from the very beginning. And just, that's how it started. My story, his pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I got an email from Cynthia, and then maybe I asked, like, she was like, this is the project, and then this kind of art style, what I'm looking for. And if you have, I'm pretty much open to talk about, so please ask me anything. And I think I asked too many questions to you, Cynthia. It might be too push on you, but that's the first hour communication, I think.
And Cynthia, how did you find Suki? How did you find your character for this wonderful book?
So I I based that story really on myself in some ways, on my sort of recollections of myself as a child. And the events are completely, fictitious and made up. But the character of Mr. Humphreys, I was really clear with Yusuke on how I wanted him to look, because I modeled him after one of my mentor teachers at graduate school, Mr. William Swack, who is no longer with us. But he was such a great teacher, and he was a very large man, and he had such a sweet, gentle approach to teaching. He never lectured, and he was really into art, very passionate about art, and he was passionate about teaching. And I loved how he married those things. And I thought, well, I wanted him, Mr. Humphreys, to be passionate about the stars and also just be a very kind and generous soul, and into his community and neighborhood and sharing his knowledge, but not in a really overpowering way. It's not lectures, it's just fun.
So would you say it's about, you said it should be fun, not lectures, but Andromeda, I mean the fish itself, it turns out to be a bit more than just a fish.
Well, I mean, she does come from the stars, right?
Yeah. How important is it for you to not just have fun, but also put in a little bit of knowledge, a grain of knowledge in this book?
Well, for me, it's important. I don't want my messages to be overpowering or to be lecture, but to be, I'm an educator. I have a master's degree in education, so it's just kind of part of my being. But I also like a bit of quirkiness and whimsy, and the things that I appreciate are more on the art spectrum than logical, scientific stuff. But I do appreciate that there's a big universe out there, and we really don't know the first thing about it, but we can see the stars. So it's a good place to start with kids.
And the age bracket for your books, for what people who watch or who listen later on as well? The age bracket, who shall we buy it for?
Well, I'm advertising 4 to 8 year olds, but I just got another review the other day from Indie Reader, and they say specifically that adults will really love the message. So I think, I'm going to say 4 to 104. How's that?
It's perfect.
How difficult is it to write for children that are so small, so that it's not too much information, not too much text for 6 or 7 year olds, but still being kept interesting?
Well, my first children's book is a rhyming story, Polar Bear and the UFO. And I decided I didn't want to do that again, but I love that I love it when words rhyme and there's a certain rhythm and cadence that they follow. And so this story has a little bit of that, but there aren't any rules. Or if there are, I just try to break them all. So it's hard to tell a story in 32 pages, which is what a typical traditional children's book is, but it's a really fun challenge. So, and pictures are so critical. The illustrations in this book are phenomenal. And, starting with the cover,
Yep.
and it's just beautiful. Yep. And very artistic, and the illustrations, they have their own sort of story. What he's managed to put in there are really fantastic.
And what kind of technique did you use, Yusuke? It's watercolor, is it not? I'm not good at anything artistic, I have to admit.
Or is it a
It's
mixture?
basically, so it's basically watercolor, but I would say mixed media, maybe. So I did collage also, using like a piece of papers and stuff like that. So maybe it's mixed media, but basically watercolors, and I play with different papers a lot. Then it came up like that.
And did you have, apart from Mr. Humphreys, how much freedom did you have to create your own ideas regarding the illustrations?
Oh, it was a lot of freedom, to be honest. So I think, when I got email from Cynthia, when she checked me in, she had her thoughts about this book is something like watercolor. And I read script and I totally picture that, I thought I could see that, I 100% agree this story should be done something like watercolor, So that's the one thing we talked about before actually I started work. And about character design, like a lot of freedom, to be honest. And I did some rough sketches and I showed them to her, and she was like, "Oh, this is exactly looked like my teacher." And I still remember that moment, and that's kind of like, yeah, from her feedback, I was like, "Oh, I think we're on the same pace, same track," you know.
Well, and I try to really give Yusuke the opportunity to do what he does best, because the worst thing I could have done is try to control what was coming out of his paintbrush. And, it's hard, I think, for a lot of writers to give over that control. I mean, you have to do it as part of the publishing process when you're with a traditional publisher. Someone else decides what your cover will look like. Someone else decides how it will be formatted, the font, and how it will be typeset and that sort of thing. And if you're writing a children's book, then the publisher decides who will illustrate it. So I feel really fortunate that I'm publishing.
Yusuke,
Yeah.
it's also quite interesting the way you portrayed Cynthia at the end of the book. Her pictures is a very nice one, to be honest. It looks like a bit of a kissing mouth you gave her. Was it intentional?
Wait, sorry, which page?
Yeah,
The last page?
Yeah, the last page where it informs the reader about the author, about the illustrator.
Oh yeah. That was actually Cynthia's idea. Like we should we could use our portrait, but also maybe we could have something fun here. And then that was her idea to use like fish illustration instead of our actual portrait.
Yeah.
And then since fish is really important for this book, and especially like not actual fish, not real fish, but like the fish, like something handmade fish, So we just made it, and that's also our hope that like if readers making your own fish after reading this picture book, that's our like that. I think that's super beautiful. So this is a like part of it.
Indeed. And again, the kissing mouth for Cynthia, was it intentional?
Well, it's kind of a jazzed up version of me, right?
Yeah, but the eyelashes, I mean...
I just thought I was going to go for a glamour look. It's not often that you get to dress up and, go to a book premiere or whatever. So I thought rather than just put in a traditional headshot, I was going to go all out with my fish. So that's what I did.
But I do seem to remember that you love to dress up when we meet, I assume.
Oh, yes, of course, like for Halloween, which I totally did. I'm sorry I didn't share a picture with you of Halloween, but I was again a witch, which is my favorite costume.
Of course.
And the kids loved it. And one boy who had been here last year, he told me he's 5 this year. He's grown a lot. And he said, "You're not very scary." So I told him next year I'm going to be scary. So I have to work on my scare.
And what do you think? What should children take away when parents or great grandparents or grandparents or aunts and uncles read this book of yours to them? What is your hope for the children? What should they take with them?
Well, there's several threads in here. One has to do with the relationship between Mr. Humphreys and Zuki, which is intergenerational. And I think, so many kids don't have relationships with older people outside of their immediate family. And so even now, I have friends who are, pushing 100. I would say that's intergenerational as well. And I have friends who are younger, quite a bit younger. And there's just a really wonderful exchange that takes place. And he embraces Zuki's imagination and plays along with her, but not in a condescending kind of way. So I like that part of it, and that she feels safe being with him, which I think is really a nice thing as well. I think, too, for parents that helping children to be independent thinkers and to make their own fun is, I think that's kind of fading a little bit from our culture, because so many kids have screens now that entertain them 24/7. And I don't know how many kids can actually make their own toys, but I love that idea of parents helping their kids to take on that kind of independence. And and creativity, because it does require a lot of ingenuity and creativity to make your own toys and to entertain yourself in that way.
And Yusuke, what is your hope as the illustrator of this book? What should children take away from the artistic point of view, from the drawings, from the characters, from the background, the houses, nature, space? What is your hope for the children to take with them after they looked through the book?
Well, my hope is I just want leaders. Like I said, I just want leaders to make your own fish and then play with it. That's my hope, you know? So, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, but like after reading this book and then you use paper or, whatever, something around you grab that stuff, something around you, and then make it your own fish and then just play with it or just put it on the wall or whatever. That would be super cool. And that's my hope, I think.
It's about never stop to believe in your dreams, not giving up.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the threads. Absolutely. And this whole idea of discovery that comes after loss, which, I think I read somewhere that the Japanese character for crises is made up of two parts. And one part is about the danger and the other part is about the opportunity. And I think that we often just focus on the danger or the crisis without seeing it as leading to something that could actually be really great. And I think, we're sort of at a crossroads in our history of humanity, and the decisions we make now are going to affect the future for us and for generations to come, for sure. That's always been the case, but it feels like there's a sense of urgency now about some things like the environment, for instance, and paying a living wage to people and making housing affordable and a whole host of things. And I think while it's easy to dwell on the negativity and become kind of bitter and angry, a really nice way to frame it for kids is that there's hope for something else, and to be able to see what that something else might be is really powerful, even if it doesn't exist,
Is it also the reason why you put your character not in a big mansion? Because Suki is
absolutely.
living, she's rather...
Well, what would be the fun in that?
Yeah, I mean, you said it says at the beginning, she was hoping to get the fish, but even a fish would be too much for the family to afford.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that comes from my playbook, to be honest. I was constantly begging my mother to buy me things, and I did not understand that she didn't have any money to buy me things because she was a single mother working, supporting 3 young children. And so that comes from my playbook. And I think that's very real for a lot of kids today, is that there just isn't the extra coins for something like a fish that you have to feed every day. I've heard so many stories of people having to get rid of their dogs because they can't afford to, or cats, they can't afford to feed them because things are, so difficult right now. And I think that just resonates with a lot of people. But it's my story as well. I mean, that was my upbringing. And so for me, it was just kind of calling back on something that had a really profound impact on me and made me like a doer and have drive and want to accomplish things.
Yeah, I think this is like, it's relatable for almost everyone, because the message of this book is like, there's always other way to make your dream come true. So that's really big, I think. And I love that. So maybe that's also my hope, that's something I want leader to realize after reading this book, I think.
I think it also makes it more special if you have to wait for something and think you're not getting it and get it in the end, than if you would get it the first time you say your wish. Yeah, I think it's worth more if you have to wait for it or work for it.
Yeah, I think I read one of the reviews of the book where the reviewer gave it 4.5 stars because she didn't like my treatment of the mother, and that the mother didn't heap praise on Zuki for making her fish and doing all these things. And I thought, yeah, that's intentional actually, because I think I'm a parent as well, so I have to be mindful of this, but I think we sort of throw out praise and we don't really understand how it's undermining our child's sense of independence, and they become habituated to that praise and they start to seek it and do things that they think are going to bring in that praise. And I think it's really a complicated issue, but it's one of the threads in this book for sure. is that, when I was a kid, it was like we said, we're going out to play, and our mom said, be home when the lights come on. And we were gone. And there aren't a lot of kids that I know that can do that today. Their schedules are really highly regulated and supervised, and they have activities, and they go from, one thing to the other. And I think we learned a lot when we were off on our own, just, messing about, skateboarding, hanging out in the neighborhood, snipping roses off people's bushes when we shouldn't have been doing, stuff like that, just shenanigans. But that was all part of our upbringing. I think was really important.
So I think it's also a way to learn things by making mistakes, maybe sometimes.
Yep. How was it for you, Yusuke? I mean, you reside in Los Angeles.
Yes.
But you're originally from Japan.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit. I mean, Cynthia told us now about her upbringing, what it was like for her. How was it for you?
Sorry, what was the question again? So I mean,
how
I'm
was it
from
for
Japan,
you
and
being a young boy in Japan? How was it? Did your parents say? I mean, I've never been to Japan, so.
oh, okay.
So what was it like growing up as a boy in Japan?
How was it like? Well, that's kind of hard to answer for me because that's only my experience, I don't have I'm born and grew up in Japan, but I have nothing to compare with it. So I don't know. It was fun. It was okay. I appreciate my family and then my friends and all of the support. But one thing I'm pretty sure is Japan is safe. So that's a good for kids, I think. And also we have solid 4 seasons. Mm-hmm. So that might be also advantage for children to enjoy all of the events about spring, winter, fall, summer, whatever, And it's really different. It pretty much depends on what season you have right now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's fun thing for children, or maybe for adults as well.
And what about your artistic interests? Was it also supported, or did your parents say, oh, come on, you go the technology route, or you will be a businessman?
Yeah. So I went to college in Japan, and at that time, my major was international law. And then, and after that, I got a full-time job as sales in Japan, and I quit my job when I was 26 years old. And until then, I had literally no art backgrounds at all. And I told my parents that I'm gonna change my career and being an artist. And they were super shocked about that, of course. But the good thing is, to be honest, they are really looking me right now. And then even my dad started to draw and painting. And then he keeps sending over me his paintings and drawings, and then so I'm it's it's changed a lot, But right now, most of the time, my parents, all of the time, my parents really supported me, and they're still supporting me. But that's only at the moment when I quit my job and changed my careers, they were super shocked. But we just constantly talking and communicate, and now they are really looking for my new arts right now.
And did they get an advance copy of the book?
Not yet.
No. But it is for sale in Japan on Amazon. So I suspect that some family and friends will pick up copies.
Of course.
I would just like to say that it wasn't just the two of us working on this book, that Tamara Deaver at TLC Graphics did the cover design and the interior layout, and she did a phenomenal job. Artie Wahidi, who's been with me for several years now, he did all of my website and branding, and he did also the trailer for the book, which I love. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's out on YouTube. You can just search it up there, A Fish Called Andromeda YouTube trailer. And he also did some coloring sheets that I'm using for book launch events, which are really fun. Gabriel Young did the pattern for me for a plush fish toy, which it's not out yet, but hopefully that will be something that goes along with the book. And then my son Eamon, who does all my social media stuff, he's great. He's really been busy the past weeks posting. And my early readers, Carmen, Patrick, Mimi, and Jay from Brussels Writers Circle. And then Nate also in Brussels with his family, and my husband Rucker, who's of course my biggest fan. So, all of those people contributed, and I'm so grateful because the final product is really, really beautiful. And for me, it's like a work of art. So I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of heart and soul in it from several people.
I'd be interested in the color scheme of the illustrations in the book. The main colors are blue, green, and brown, but there's one picture done in red.
The dinner is ready one, where it says dinner is red.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah.
And how you decided on the color scheme and the importance of the difference.
So yeah, color scheme. How did I decide color scheme? So it's not like, I worked on like whole pages at the same time. It's rough. It's not like a detail. It's not rendered yet. But I just put up all the rough and then trying to match color with the story, And that red page it's sunset, and also like maybe that's kind of saddest point of that for Zuki, and also turning point for Zuki. Before that, she's kind of happy for making her own fish, but that fish flew away. And she's disconnected with her fish, and she's alone at that page. But after that page, maybe I should not spoil everything, but like after that page, it's gonna be getting better and better. So that's like turning point. So I just wanted to make it along with the story. So yeah, how I work is basically simple color, and then like lay out them all together, and then see how color should be changing with the story. And then I kept on communicating with Cynthia, and then just, and got a lot of feedbacks from her, and work whole pages at the same time, not like page 1 done, page 2 done, page 3 done, but just work everything all together. Hope it makes sense.
We had a lot of dialogue. We did. And we had, Yusuke was in Japan and I was in Brussels at the time, and we had Zoom meetings, and we, talked through things. And I think, because this is his first book, he graduated from LA CalArts with a degree, and he's doing animation. He did his internship at Pixar, and I'm expecting really great things from him in his animation career. But I think he has such a keen sense of storytelling, and part of that comes through color, part of it comes through pattern, placement on the page, and just a testament to his ability. One of the recent reviews, we got a 5-star review from Indie Reader, by the way, and one of the things that they talk about is really his skill and how the text and the illustrations work so harmoniously in that. And that to me just was music to my ears, really. That's the best possible accolade we could receive, because that's something we hope to achieve, and to have pulled it off, I feel really so happy about and grateful. And I think it speaks to how we were kind of on the same page throughout the whole process. And again, we had freedom to bring, what he can do to the project, which is great.
Well, thank you for everything about that. But I think what worked well for us is, so Cynthia was being patient a lot, like this is about control that she mentioned about before, but like she was really being patient, and then gave me a lot of room for the creativity, and then I really appreciate that. And then I think we did amazing. We made an amazing picture book, and it's because like our communication, how we work together, it's not only about her story. It's not only about my skill. It's just about like how we cooperate together, and I really appreciate it. Like, yeah, you're patient.
Yay! Well, congratulations.
It's fun to celebrate it now, because it's just about to go out into the world, and people are seeing it, and I got an email today. I haven't told you this from Barnes and Noble. They want to see a copy of it. Their buyer asked for a copy of it. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh, that's
super
amazing.
happy
That's
about
amazing.
the potential
Yep.
of this book. So,
Congratulations.
but that's not why we made it.
Nah. But since you work so well together, is there more collaboration in the book for the future? Maybe.
I would love to.
I have about 6 or 7 other stories, children's stories, and I mean, this year I had spine surgery, which was huge, and I'm still recovering from that. And I wasn't even sure we were going to put this book out this year, to be honest. I told you, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but I decided to go for it. And I think just going forward, I'm going to be more concerned about pace and do it on my timeline. But if I'm going to put out another book, I'm going to ask him first, see, if he has time. Part of it was that he was on hiatus from school and had the time to do this project. And I think that was, a bit of serendipity that worked in my favor.
Yeah, I'm always excited to work with Cynthia again. Like, her story is amazing. It's super rich. It's simple, but like it contains a lot of texture and feelings in it. And then it's so like I enjoyed a lot to make illustration with her story. And then I do want to do that like more. So I'm always excited. Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And your fans are looking forward to it, I think, won't they?
Yeah. There has been a suggestion. So
Yeah, see, there you go. So what will be the future, in the near future? What are the near future plans for both of you? Cynthia, what are your near future plans after publishing A Fish Called Andromeda on the 25th?
Yes, of November. It's officially out. On the 26th, I have a book launch here in my village, which I'm looking forward to. I'm afraid everybody's going to turn out for it, which be a mixed blessing. It'll be fun, but it'll be maybe a madhouse. And we're going to be doing things like turning this into something like this. Let's see this. Toilet loo rolls into fish.
See, she said
I don't
loo.
know if that came over. There you go.
You already arrived at the UK in the UK when you said loo.
Yes, exactly. I know what loo roll is.
Not bathroom.
No, and then next year I do have the 3rd installment of my Boy Between Worlds series coming out, An Eye for an Eye. That might be the last one. I'm not sure. So I'm still working on it. Yusuke, what do you have up?
Near future. I gotta do my laundry today after this. That's my near future plan. Other than that,
Keep it real.
But I do want to illustrate more picture book. I just want to do that more. So that's my near future plan. I think for sure.
And Cynthia mentioned something about getting into a little bit, dipping your toes into animation films as well. Or are you doing that already?
Oh, I mean that animation on YouTube. Is that one you're talking about? That's not. Yeah. That's like I didn't do that. It's great though.
No. The trailer's not yours, but your profession is film.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. My major in America is character animation.
Okay. Yeah. Are you with studio already? Did you get in?
No, I'm doing freelance job. Okay. But actually, I'm shifting more to the picture book industry, to be honest. And I think I'm 100% sure about that. So I just want to do more picture books. Okay. So, yeah.
And I think for Yusuke, the process is to get an agent and then to go from there to getting publications. And it's a bit of a, process, and it's very competitive. But this first book is getting some really good reviews and exposure. And next month it'll be in the New York Review of Books, which is exciting. As I said, we had some contact and interest from Barnes and Noble. Also, it's going into independent bookstores here in the UK. I'm just shout out to One Tree Books and to October Books in Southampton, One Tree Books in Petersfield, and there will be others as well. So
May I mention?
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
slow process. We're growing it.
Yeah. Since you mentioned independent bookshops, may we mention Forum Books in the north of England? They have a children's
Yeah.
section. They are based in Corbridge, and we had Helen on our show, and she has now 3 bookshops. And
Awesome! I should talk to her.
Something you want to look into. It's Forum Books in Corbridge.
I love booksellers
in the north of England.
Yeah,
Okay.
I forgot to mention about that, but that's also my future plan, like visiting bookstores and libraries, and then to expose our picture books. That's definitely my future plan.
I mean, sorry, may I ask, Cynthia, how do you do that? I mean, I'm a complete idiot. I'm a complete idiot, let's be honest, where marketing is concerned. So how do you do that? I mean, do you just go there and say, hey, my name is Cynthia and I have this book?
Yes, I go out onto the village square and I just stand up on a little box. But I'm operating outside of the traditional model. So I have to really work on partnerships and relationships, which I'm happy to do. I think those are longer lasting and more meaningful. I'm not chasing the big stores, but I would be happy if they would like to have our book and sell it. I think that, things like the trailer that we have on YouTube are designed to bring people in to have a look at what we have to offer. Idle Time Press now has 6 books. We have 2 scheduled for next year. That's about as much as I can do. I rely on a team of skilled people and hire out for everything: editors, illustrators, marketing people, graphic designers, and those sorts of things. And so, our ambitions are more local and just trying to connect with the people who like what we're doing, and, people who are into slow, soulful experiences, because that's kind of what we offer. It's not fast production. It's not overproduction. It's not, getting stuff out there quickly, trying to be commercially competitive. It's more about creating a really beautiful thing. Yeah.
Quality.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Producing quality over quantity, and not, like you said, fast. Let's call it fast food or junk food in this case. Yeah.
And there's a gob of fast food out there, and I think people are choking on it, so it's hard to sort of wade through that and show them that you have something maybe different. But I think different is good, so that's kind of what I'm after.
Yeah.
I see Nate has a question.
Yeah. What was your biggest challenge during the process?
Yusuke, you want to answer first?
Yeah.
Most challenging process?
Now, what was the greatest challenge for you during this production of A Fish Called Andromeda?
So as an illustrator, I think my job is creating your own language to tell the story, That's my understanding. And until get that point, everything is just challenging. Everything is just hardest. But once you get there, and then you'll create, this is a language which works best for story. Once you get there, everything, it's just like everything comes after naturally. And then I still remember that moment. So I did this sketch, and actually this is like rough sketch for the cover of our book. And then once I done this, I'm like, I can do this, But until get that point, everything is just challenging, and I feel like I was in the storm, but I still love that process because I need to go through everything. But what about you, Cynthia?
Well, I think for me, I was really intent on making sure that you were at ease and felt a degree of trust that you could do your best work. I think part of that was leaving you to it, but maybe in doing that, you weren't sure if you were on the right track initially. But I felt like that was really important to give you some freedom to kind of find your groove, I guess. And there are a couple of illustrations in here that are just so, to me, really difficult to pull off. And one of them is this like night sky view where, you know, the houses are all kind of around and the sky is shown, and Mr. Humphreys is in the window and he's talking to Zuki, and as soon as I saw that, I was just like, wow, this is exactly like, you know, if you were going to look up from a park bench and see the night sky and the skyline all around you, enveloping you. It had such a great impact on me. And I thought, yeah, this is just so great. But it was hard for me to, you know, like to resist temptation sometimes to just shoot off an email and check in, because I thought it's just going to be me, you know, the supervising parent, like overseeing this project a little bit too heavy-handedly. So I was really sometimes challenging myself not to make contact, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think it was hard for you then to let go in a way.
Well, I was aware of it, but there were times too when Yusuke would say, "I'm not sure about this or thinking about this," and and I, you know, if I had a really image image in my mind, I would share it. But if I didn't, then, you know, I gave him the opportunity to do what he thought was best. Is that how you recall it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I said, I really appreciate how and when you checked me, and maybe I should have sent you more constantly to share my works. But yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Cynthia.
Any more
Gratitude
questions?
to you.
Teacup, is there anything else you would like to know?
Regarding illustrations, what are the different challenges? What do you prefer, working with a computer, animating, or without a computer, with your hands?
I do both. I prefer work traditionally, like watercolor papers or like a more physical media. But what I did for this picture book is just scan everything that I did on traditionally and then just do collage on digital. So kind of like a hybrid style, I think. And I do it most of the time.
Cynthia, Yusuke, is there anything else you would like to share right now?
I think we've kind of, you know, sort of given our listeners a pretty good overview of how the book was created. To me, it just really exceeded my expectations at the beginning, but I think that's over to the power of collaboration. And another person that came into the mix, of course, was Tammy Beaver at TLC Graphics, and she laid it out in a really beautiful way. And she chose the font for the cover, which I think is really fun and just a perfect.
Oh, I love the font.
Fit. Yeah, it's just perfect. And inside too, the way she's laid out the text with the images and made them both shine in a way, I think was really, really great. So I think that she deserves a lot of credit for that in helping to sort of elevate our story and our images to another level. And I'm really happy about that.
The whole package, I mean, it looks fantastic. Congratulations again
Thank you.
to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
producing such a wonderful book, isn't it?
And you actually, as a reader, you don't realize how much thought goes into all these details.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that.
Yep.
No, I think, it was months, and, you know, I can imagine, it was all during COVID, of course. And so, he was in his parents' home in Japan, and I was in Brussels, and, you know, you're cloistered, you can't go out. And so the story was done, but he was working on the illustrations, and we had some interesting conversations just about, you know, what was happening in the world at the time, because it was so strange. And I think, you know, there were a lot of things that were produced over COVID, and not all of it is good, but this, to me, feels like a really good thing to come out of it.
Yeah, it was it's something that nobody experienced before, you know, during the pandemic. It's crazy. But I was really lucky to work with Cynthia. At that time, I felt like everything just stopped. But I was working on this project, and then I got progress day by day, so that I could keep my own sake with that. So that was amazing. Yeah.
So it kept you sane in a way. Working on this project kept you both saner than the rest of us, maybe.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Because you need you feel like I said, like getting progress, and then every day is kind of every day is different because I'm working on it. You know, it's something. Sometimes it didn't work well. You're working on it, but like you gain nothing, but it's still like something. You did something. It's different from yesterday. So yeah, because it was like I can't keep myself in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for both of you. So, Teacup, any more questions? No? So I would say thank you both for joining us and giving our listeners the chance to hear our outro signation. And that means we're coming to an end. We're ending this broadcast, at least for everything who's watching. Maybe there will be another time to watch Book Lovers Companion live. Thank you very much, everyone who was there. And until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.